Not to be messy, but have y'all heard about Diddy's mom getting dragged into his legal drama?
You too. Anything to say about your dad?
Let go. Make a hole.
Want to say anything about your dad?
Girl, the streets are buzzing and the tea is piping hot. Word is, not only was Mama Combs allegedly involved in Diddy's wild freak-offs, but she was actually leading them herself. I mean, this is next level freakiness, right? It's one thing to hear about Diddy's antics, but his mom, sis, this family is on a whole other level. Now, if you're wondering how all this drama even hit the streets, let me break it down for you. Apparently, we have Kim Porter's family to thank for spilling this tea because they allegedly handed over some serious receipts to the feds. And honey, it's looking like Mama Combs might be rocking a matching prison jumpsuit with her son real soon because Kim's family is not playing. They want justice and they don't care who goes down with her. So the real question is, did Janice Combs introduce Diddy to all this freaky business? Or is she just another one of his victims? Let's dive in because, girl, there's more. We've known for a minute that Kim Porter's family has always questioned the official story about her death. Y'all remember the pneumonia ruling, right? It just never made sense. For starters, the first coroner found toxins in her system, and then suddenly that coroner gets fired. Next thing we know, a new coroner steps in and takes 2 weeks to come back with his findings, saying it was pneumonia after all. And get this, when people started side-eyeing the second coroner's ruling, the first coroner who found those toxins mysteriously passed away from natural causes. Yeah, the math is not mathing, sis. Oh, and on top of that, multiple sources claim the feds are still investigating whether Kim's death was actually something more sinister.
Thank you guys.
Are you okay? Are you feeling okay?
Word on the street is that Kim Porter's family was this close to filing a wrongful death lawsuit against him. But guess what? They backed off, and it's all because the feds got involved. Yep, you heard me right. The FBI actually contacted the family and not just them. 3 of Kim's family members and 6 friends have been interviewed already, and they've been told to zip it. According to Kim's ex, Cassie, she's spilling even more piping hot tea. Now let me break it down for you. Cassie, while filing her own lawsuit against Diddy, apparently told her lawyers that she has proof about Kim's death, and let me tell you, it's messy. One insider is saying there's been a lot of cover-up going on, and let's just say the story they're trying to sell us about Kim's death isn't adding up. Like, if they're gonna say she passed peacefully in her sleep from pneumonia, then riddle me this, why was there blood on her pillowcases? And girl, there was a trail of blood leading from the bedroom to the bathroom. Oh, and it gets wilder. They want us to believe she was found unresponsive in bed by some housemates. Yeah, no, that's a full-blown lie. Kim was actually found on the bathroom floor. If she ended up in bed, someone put her there, and the whole thing just reeks of a cover-up. Also, she wasn't being cared for by just anyone. She had a medical professional watching her, handpicked by Diddy himself. It's giving serious Michael Jackson vibes with what went down between him and his doctor. And here's the kicker. Kim's last call was to 911 at 2:43 a.m., but somehow she wasn't found until late in the morning, around 11 a.m. according to Kimora Simmons. What's really going on here, ladies? Not to stir the pot, but have y'all seen what Kim Porter's first baby daddy, Al B. Sure has been hinting at? He's the father of her son, Quincy. And let me tell you, the tea is piping hot. Al took to Instagram, and it looks like he's throwing some serious shade at Diddy, hinting that he might know a little too much about Kim's tragic death. Al wrote, "I just found this footage from the morning I learned about Kim's passing, and it ripped the soul right out of my body. One thing I know for sure, Kimberly didn't just suddenly pass away from pneumonia. That's some BS. He even dropped a bomb, saying they had just celebrated their son's new deal with Netflix and Christmas special, and Kim was in perfect health. She was laughing and happy, especially after seeing Al and Diddy exchange pleasantries at a theater." Al ended his post with a cryptic warning, "Don't let those love songs fool you," before hinting that Kim was unalived. In fact, he shared a throwback pic of the two of them and wrote that Kim had sent it to him saying, "Life imitating art, art imitating life." Now, it's all starting to click. He claims she told him things, serious things. According to Al, Kim was running, and he even told her to call the FBI. And here's where things get really wild. Al mysteriously fell into a coma not long after dropping those cryptic messages and nearly died. And when he finally woke up, not a peep about Kim or anything else. Suspicious much? With Diddy currently under the microscope with the feds, the streets are buzzing that Kim's family might be pushing to reopen the investigation into her death. Rumor has it they've got some evidence, and it's not just about Kim's passing, it allegedly spills even more tea on Diddy's freak-offs. Oh, and word on the street? Diddy's mom might have been in on those freak-offs too. Girl, say what now? To really understand this drama, we've got to take it all the way back to Diddy's childhood. His father, Melvin Combs, was caught up in some seriously shady business. And yes, he was connected to the Frank Lucas, the guy who inspired the movie American Gangster. Melvin met his tragic end when Diddy was just 3 years old, caught up in what's believed to have been a botched deal. After Melvin's death, Diddy's mom, Janice, did everything in her power to keep her little boy far away from that rough life. When Diddy turned 12, she made a bold move, taking him and his sister out of Harlem and relocating them to Mount Vernon, New York. She worked multiple jobs to make sure Diddy could attend private school. Diddy himself once said, "Until I was 12, I lived in Harlem, but then we moved to Mount Vernon. That was Mom's way of getting us out of the inner city after my dad was killed. But my grandma still lived in Harlem, so I was back and forth." And girl, the way he described it, Mount Vernon was like a whole new world. Grass, trees, and even little league baseball. Harlem had none of that. There was no front yard, no green grass to play on. But here's the real tea. During a 2006 interview with Oprah, Diddy spilled how he found out the real story behind his dad's death. Despite his mom's best efforts to protect him, Diddy did some digging and uncovered the truth himself. He said, "She tried to shield me. My father was a hustler, selling drugs because in those days, that was the way out of Harlem. Either that or basketball. My mom didn't want me to go down that path, so she was selective with what she told me. She'd say my dad was in the army, owned a limousine service, and died in a car accident. Well, he was in a car, but even as a kid, I put 2 and 2 together. And here's the kicker. Diddy noticed that the street guys in Harlem always seemed to recognize his family name, saying, 'I used to run with your father,' they'd tell him. Turns out all his uncles were street hustlers too. You'd think after everything his dad went through and with his mom practically working herself to the bone, 2 jobs, barely making ends meet to send him to a fancy Catholic school, he'd stick to the straight and narrow, right? Well, girl, think again. Even at that private Catholic school, Diddy managed to find himself in some real messy situations. Word is he got tight with Andrew Campos, who just so happened to be part of the notorious Gambino crime family. Oh yeah, they were playing football together at St. Michael's and kept that bond strong even after graduation. Diddy was determined to play bad boy from the jump. And you know what, girls? His mom Janice might have played a bigger role in all this than we thought. She's been out here claiming she was a model and a teacher's assistant back in the day, but the streets are calling BS. Now, with all of Diddy's skeletons spilling out of the closet, people are whispering that Janice may have schooled him in some shady business. Despite her model claims, there's no trace of those gigs. Instead, the word is she was more into organizing fashion shows, if you catch my drift. Even rapper Mase threw shade, hinting that Janice knew more than she let on and was allegedly enabling Diddy's wild behavior.
I did it. Told my he want receipts. Let's start with your mother. Your mother got the receipts. Everything is in your mother.
So girls, don't be a stranger. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for our next video. You won't want to miss it. Trust me, it's going to be a wild ride.